All right, everybody, Casey Hendrickson here. Hey, I'm trying something new today. I'm actually rolling with the Podbean app, and I haven't recorded with the Podbean app before. I don't have an external microphone hooked up. I am just using the internal microphone on my phone, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how this all shapes out. So first things first, before we get started, since this is just a podcast itself, it is not a part of my radio show, I wanted to go ahead and direct you to asdefense.com. Now, this is my website. This is where I sell stabby, pokey knife things, and I do custom Kydex work, and I'd have some 3D printing stuff on there. Wholesale is available for those of you out there who have businesses and want to sell my merchandise. So I have a couple of new things on there I just wanted to go ahead and let you know about. I have some artisan cutlery knives up there, and I've got 3 of them available. I've sold several of these, actually. I picked these up. These are really, really good knives. And I've got the Jungle, the Tomahawk, and the Predator. Now, the Tomahawk and the Predator have carbon fiber scales. They are made with D2 tool steel. And these are really, really good knives for a really great budget. The Artisan Jungle has D2 tool steel and G10 handle scales, but it has blue hardware, really sharp looking. Go check those out at asdefense.com and place those orders. I should also have new SPKT Kiridashis coming out in the next month or so, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Those are all handmade, and those are my little neck knives with the bottle opener on them, and they are super, super sharp. All right. Well, I was writing into my my show prep today, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this, and I'm going, "You got to be kidding me!" Now, here's the thing: I'm not a moralist, right? So I'm not one of these people that runs around and plays this whole you have to live your life like I live my life, and it's all guided by some religious text or something like that. I'm not that. Those of you who listen to me on a regular basis, you are well aware that I am not a moralist type person. Live your life the way that you want to live your life. If you don't interfere with other people and you don't break any laws or damage other people, I'm okay with it. It really doesn't bother me. And mostly I am that way because I want you to leave me the hell alone. And I have things that other people would, I have things in my, how do I say this articulately? I enjoy things that many people would not, okay? So I'm not like a weirdo or anything. It's just that I am a little bit more diverse than your average prude. So the reason I bring this up is I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, okay? I have been around cross-dressers my entire life. It has never been controversial. It has never been anything remotely taboo or weird or odd, all right? We have a lot of entertainers where I grew up who are cross-dressers. I have known many of them. It's not a big deal for me, okay? Obviously, cross-dressers are not transgenders, okay? So there's a huge difference, and I'm looking at this. It's just, I could believe what I was reading. So I'm on theblaze.com. A recent all-ages drag show at the Ames Public Library. This is in Iowa. Iowa, of all places. Billed as a free, family-friendly evening of music and dance by local professional and amateur drag performers. A family-friendly evening of music and dance with drag performers. Okay. All ages are welcome to sign up and show off their talent or just come to enjoy the free show, food, and mingling. Okay. Now I'm looking at some pictures here, and it's got some biological boys. They're dressed up as girls. They got the makeup on. They got all the sparkles on and everything else. They look fabulous. So anyway, the Blaze continues, says, the above poster for the April 6th drag event advertised 3 segments, an all-ages performance, a teens-only roundtable, and then a teens-only performance. Okay? The librarian, Tanvi Rastogi, seemed to be the point person for the event and posted on Instagram photos of the show, some of which featured children handing money to performers like they were handing money to strippers. Now, I'm looking at a picture here, okay? There is a teenage, I assume teenage, they could be adult, cross-dresser drag queen on stage, And there are two kids. One looks like she's 4 or 5. The other looks like he might be 6. They are handing money to the person on stage just like you would at a strip club. And I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this, and I'm going, okay. Like I said, I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada. Cross-dressing performers are routine. They're commonplace. It's not a big deal. There's certainly nothing taboo about it. Nobody walked around Las Vegas, Nevada all butthurt that there were men dressed up as women. Okay? And sometimes the other way around, but generally we are speaking of men dressing up like women. Nobody cared. Now I'm looking at this, and I'm sitting here watching little kids, you know, the age of my daughter or younger, my eldest, tipping drag queens on the stage as if they had just stepped off of the stripper pole. And that crossed the line for me. That just, it's one thing if you're going to do an artistic event, okay, and you're going to sit there and you're going to have people enjoy this. You want to open them up to, hey, this is a thing that people do. And it's okay to embrace different things and all. Okay, fine. What in the world is the point of tipping these people? Now, again, this could very well just be a parent saying, oh, this is going to be so funny if you just go up there and tip them. I'm going to take some pictures and some video of my kid tipping a cross-dresser on the stage just like they were a stripper. How cool is that? Can't wait to show this video to all of their boyfriends and girlfriends when they come home in their teenage years. Remember that time that you tipped the cross-dresser, sweetheart? So it looks like it was a talent competition. They were dancing and all that other stuff, but I don't know. That rubbed me the wrong way. And I felt it was inappropriate. And then I started getting thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. How is it that we are now at a point where we are having cross-dressing events involving children at a public library when we are at the same time, simultaneously, we are getting rid of the powder puff game in high school? This is irritating to me. So the powder puff game, for those of you who do not know, because you were younger than I am, the powder puff football game, this is an annual tradition at most high schools in the United States, where the football team would dress up like the cheerleaders, and the cheerleaders would then play football, usually flag football, okay? So the football players teach the female cheerleaders how to play football. There's usually a player that is assigned to be their coach. And then the other players dress up like the cheerleaders, and they come out with the dresses and everything else, and they go ahead and they do their little cheerleading routine. They usually have a coach who is from the cheer squad. So it's just a role reversal thing, right? It's kind of like the Sadie Hawkins dance, and this is usually when the powder puff game happens is around Sadie Hawkins. And Sadie Hawkins is where the girl asks the guy, right? That used to be somewhat controversial and unnormal thing, but I guess that's going to become the norm now as more and more men are uncomfortable making the first move because they might be accused of some kind of a sexual harassment or something. I was just watching the Cuba Gooding Jr. video. And Cuba Gooding Jr., he did put his hand on this lady's thigh, and then he moved his hand up to her breast, but she seemed to be into it. And his girlfriend was in between the two, and she seemed to be into it. And then there was another guy involved, and the other guy kind of gyrated his hips in this lady's face, and again, everybody seemed to be into it until about half an hour later when Cuba Gooding Jr. was making out with his girlfriend in a different part of this restaurant, club, whatever you want to call it. And the girl that he had, his accuser, I should say, that he had put his hand on her thigh, all of a sudden she is not involved in said extracurricular activity. And that's when she approaches security and tells security that Cuba Gooding Jr. put his hands on her. But at the time, we have 3 solid minutes of video. 3 solid minutes of video where she was not upset at all that he was doing that. And now, when she's not participating in the extracurricular suckfest, if you will, then she gets a little irritated. So it kind of looks like, I mean, he did touch her, folks. There's no doubt about it. It's on video. But it kind of looks to me like she was into it. And then once she wasn't invited to participate, then she became a woman scorned. So as more and more men are going to not make the first move because they don't want to be accused of stuff, I think you're going to see that the Sadie Hawkins tradition gets kind of bounced out of here as being obsolete. So anyway, so the powder puff game, we have been killing the powder puff game off over the past couple of years. So how is it that we can have a cross-dressing drag queen event at a public library for children and teenagers, yet we won't allow them to do that at school with a traditional game which doesn't offend anybody? And just to remind you, go back to February of 2018, okay? So this is last year. Powder puff football games are a long-standing tradition in many high schools across the fruited plain. It's a gender swap of sorts. The girls wear helmets and jerseys, and the guys dress up like cheerleaders. Girls don't always wear helmets, but sometimes they do. Usually, they played flag football at my school. They didn't have to put pads or anything like that on. Students at the Chaffee High School in Ontario, California, People's Republic of, made the Powder Puff football game a part of their annual Backwards Day celebration. It is a tradition that dates back decades, but now the fun-filled tradition is at the center of a bizarre controversy. The school district banned the boys' pep squad from dressing up because they were afraid that it might offend actual cross-dressers. Now, what in the actual bleep are we talking about here? You know, I actually thought that I might cuss. I thought that I might cuss when I did this podcast, because this has nothing to do with the FCC or anything like that. I considered it, ladies and gentlemen. I actually did consider it. So anyway, so the whole point is they did not want to give the impression that the boys were mocking cross-dressers, and they said that this type of activity, meaning the annual Powder Puff game, was hurtful and offensive to some students. Unlikely, but I mean everybody's a snowflake now, I guess. So everybody can be offended by any little thing. But it's just what kind of, we don't know if we're looking left or if we're looking right. It's like that penguin meme. You know, the penguin he has no idea which direction he's going. We are stuck there. We have no clue what we are doing. On one hand, you know, dressing up like the opposite sex for an annual tradition to have fun and just kind of showcase that the boys can play around and be cheerleaders and the girls can play around and be football players and enjoy that. That is too offensive to do. And yet, on the other hand, we can have kids and teenagers dress in drag at a public library with little kids tipping them as if they were strippers. What in the hell is wrong with us, ladies and gentlemen? I have absolutely no clue. Anyway, hopefully you like this little podcast. Again, I'm just playing with the Podbean app here. Definitely go check out Podbean if you're listening to this on any of the other platforms that this will publish to. Again, I'm Casey Hendrickson. Listen to my normal radio show on 95.3 MNC Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 953mnc.com, or you can watch the live stream, youtube.com/CaseyTheHost or twitch.tv/CaseyTheHost. And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Casey the Host. That's CASEY, by the way. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I don't do the political thing on Instagram yet. People have been begging me to do it, but I don't. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I am usually posting memes or talking about my knives, my holsters, my sheaths, business stuff. And I do a lot of 3D printing on Instagram as well. So follow me on Instagram at ASDKnives. Definitely go to asdefense.com. Check out those new artisan knives that I have in. Those things are beautiful, high-quality knives. Absolutely love them. I'm a big fan of that company. Go check them out, asdefense.com. Thank you for listening.